Tom Carstens about these two J2s, and Tom, perhaps you could tell us a little bit about the history of these two cars and also what's taking place with them in recent years, how they're set up equipment-wise, and what you're planning or what the plans are in the future with them.
Well, I have these two cars came over in 1951, early part of 51. After I visited the 1950 races here at Pebble Beach. We bought these cars. A very close friend of mine, Dave Fogg, who has been more or less what we call a wrench and helping mechanical end of it. Dave bought the 15 car and I bought the 14 car. Of course, we all know that the 14 car was wrecked in 1953, so in 1954 Dave said we'll make a race car out of mine. And that's the result of number 15.
Okay. Could I interrupt a second? On that 14B, I've heard of the wreck, but just really how bad was it? Was Bill Pollack driving at the time? Or?
Yes, Bill Pollack and Sidney Allard's shop foreman was in the car. It was after the race. The race is over with, and Mr. Allard, or Sir Sidney as they call him now, and he came over to see why this car was so superior to some of the other Allards around the country. And that was the reason he was there.
Okay. Who was the shop foreman?
I don't remember his name. I was trying to think of it yesterday, and we were talking about it. But he was in the hospital for a week afterward in the wreck, and he hit a tree at about 70 miles an hour on the back straight.
Okay, so it was on the course.
It was on the course. Yeah, they were on the course afterward. In fact, there were two people rode in the car after the race, and there was a Lone Ranger. It was darn nice to the young kids around there that he wanted to ride, and so we gave him a ride, and then of course the next ride was its last ride for a while.
So, well, anyway, back on 15, you're saying
15, Dave made a race car out of this, and he did some very large improvements on it, especially the front end, the front suspension on an Allard is very famous for sometimes not being too good.
Yeah, I'm sure that purists would maybe call them something other than improvements, but it's you can tell at a glance that it's very, very different from the Allard original.
Yes, it's a double cross spring on the front. It made the car handle superior to the old suspension. And we campaigned this car in Oregon and Washington with many wins, overall wins, and I think the car still holds the hill climb championship up there at Goldendale. But it's got a Cadillac engine, of course, the same as the rest of them.
So this car has never really been retired from racing. It's stayed active all along.
It was sold. Dave sold it in I think it was 1959. The first time it was out, it went end over end and rolled. And I found it down in Tucson. I bought it, brought it back up to Tacoma, and about 2 years later, it took that much time to completely restore the car, as it was a pretty rough-looking rig.
How many years ago was it you got it restored?
We did 3 years. It started 3 years ago, and it's really, this is actually his first competition since the restoration.
Now, for a V8 engine, you got a most intriguing exhaust system on that. I take it that was an original setup?
What?
The exhaust system with both pipes coming out.
Yes, we have. Yeah, that was Dave's ideas and proved to be very good. We have another set of pipes exactly like it, but have restrictors in them, so it could be driven somewhat on the street, so we don't do it.
Okay.
These are straight out.
Performance-wise, is there any reason for having them both coming out the same side?
It's crossover performance. I don't think it would make a difference either way, because they go into a common chamber and then out. We want it as unrestricted as possible.
Now you have pretty much the stock Dadeon rear end in this car?
Yes, no, there's a rear end. It's a limited slip in there. It's out of a Ford truck back in the early days in the 50s. And it's been very beneficial to its road holding ability.
Okay. Could you tell us a little bit about 14? What's happened in that in recent years?
Well, 14 car, of course, the wreck, we talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
I belonged to an old gentleman up there in the name of Rayfield, up in Reading. I saw the car and I tried to buy it. For some reason or other, Dave Brodsky was more successful at it than I was, and he got the car and has done a superb job of storing it absolutely perfection. I see it in every angle. It looks like what we...
Somebody was telling me that some special bucks were made up, and the whole front end has been fabricated from new.
Well, yes, you see, it hit so hard on that tree that it even broke the block, which is phenomenal. I would say it was terrific. The whole front end, it had new, all the nose, the hood, and side body there, they're all replaced, and all beat out from raw material.
Mm-hmm. You saved the bucks, or he saved
what?
Whoever restored it saved the bucks. You know or the molds and.
Oh yeah, no, they copied them.
Testing in the paddock.
They could,
Testing in the paddock.
and they copied this car.
Good morning.
Not many questions. They called, and I think David has called me at least 50 times over the last few years. This, that, and the other. He wanted to be as exact as it was when we had it.
Okay.
Yeah, he's done a great job.
Okay. Now, who's the guy in the blue sweatshirt over there? No. With his hand in the.
Dave Fogg is here, the fellow that did most of the engineering on both of these cars. And that's him with the 14, 15 there.
Okay. Well, Tom, I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Just as you come in on the right side, a big transporter there. Rear end's out of it right over there. Just as you come in the pit gate on the left side.
This car or anything.
No.
So. Okay.